So there's been a lot of news about the next generation Xbox. It's going to have a handheld. It's not going to have the handheld. The handheld's going to come sooner. The next generation Xbox is going to have Steam, not going to have Steam. It's going to have a new UI. It's going to be a hybrid. One thing that is for sure is that the next generation Xbox is going to have a ton of games. And those games are going to be games that you personally are going to want to play. From titles like Halo, Gears, Blade, Forza Horizon, and more. There are a ton of games coming, and they're all lining up for the next generation console to have its best possible launch it's ever had. It's no secret that the Xbox One and the Series X just had abysmal launches without any exclusives whatsoever, so this next generation console has to come out firing on all cylinders. However, the news of the console being a hybrid console hasn't gone away. We've seen Cole Eastwood's video talking about how it's going to be a hybrid. There's no real confirmation whether it's going to be or not. We know that Phil Spencer would love to get Steam and Epic onto the actual platform, but that in itself brings a lot of logistics and is a massive, massive risk for Microsoft in itself. For consumers, it would be heyday, very, very good. And considering Xbox runs on DirectX U anyway, which is supported by Windows, it wouldn't be too difficult to actually get them working, unlike on PlayStation, which does not use DirectX and uses BSM, which is a completely different API architecture entirely. So, actually getting those protocols installed probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, I'm not saying it's the click of a finger to make it work, but it's possible. But I just don't see it this generation. I see this being the main focus for the next generation. And with that, Microsoft are probably going to make a push for it. But we did get a report recently, well, not a report, but more of a statement from JHcola that the next Xbox will be a standalone Xbox. So let's just get into it real quick and have a discussion about it, because I think just talking about all the information is probably a good thing. And it will give us at least a better understanding of where we're actually at with the next generation console. But for me, the only thing that matters is the games. As long as the games are there and I'm going to enjoy those games, that's paramount. That comes first. And of course, all of those games will be day one on Game Pass. So what have you really got to lose? But if you are enjoying this content and want to continue supporting what I do, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. You can also become a YouTube member and get content like this earlier than anyone else. Clicking that join button is all you need to do to go through the process. Of course, you can also leave a super thanks and support me through Patreon. Right, let's get on with the show. So as you can see here, WCCF Tech says, no hybrid Xbox next-gen console. The upcoming release will feature a traditional console with a separate handheld add-on, plus the potential end of paywalled multiplayer. And if we scroll down, Xbox Next won't be hybrid, says JHcola. Handheld will be an add-on. Predicts end of paywalled multiplayer. Now, I don't know if they're going to actually end the paywalled multiplayer. I think at this point they should. They can pretty much take it away and leave the prices the same. And people won't, well, at least I personally won't care. Because I still feel the value that you're getting, even at the value of Game Pass right now, is just worth it. I'm getting a lot of value from it. So I think the paywalled era should probably start to go away. But it's interesting that Jez says that the next console is going to be a traditional console, which will essentially mean that there is no Steam, there is no Epic, there is none of that. Instead, what you're going to have more than likely is a partnership with Nvidia that will actually bring GeForce Now to Xbox. Now, Nvidia and Microsoft have been, building their partnerships for quite some time, and that partnership has been, festering and building and sweetening as time has gone. And as you have recently seen, Microsoft has kind of added a portal to GeForce Now onto their main website at xbox.com. This will soon go to that Game Pass app as well, allowing you to boot straight into it if you have a subscription for GeForce Now. Now, obviously, GeForce Now isn't native and it does require you to have an actual account for GeForce Now, so that's an additional cost. Whether we're going to see in the future like a discount for GeForce Now for Xbox Ultimate subscribers is something we'll find out in due course. But this is also Microsoft's way of getting around that whole CMA debacle of them not being able to put their cloud games on, well, the ABK cloud games onto xCloud. Through GeForce Now, you just gain access to it, and if it's available at a cheaper price or even part of the subscription, I don't think it will be that. That's a massive win for Xbox customers. But the question still remains, a lot of people want Steam on Xbox, and what does this actually look like? Well, we've got the handheld consoles currently in play, and those handheld consoles actually do not have the greatest of UI, but Microsoft has been working on the UI for quite some time and is, experimenting with different ways to get this to work. The small factor form has been a big problem for Windows because it's simply not designed for it. Now, obviously on a bigger screen, this isn't going to be a problem, but this could obviously pose an issue when it comes to the handheld. And Microsoft is looking to do a handheld that is, as Jez says, going to be an add-on. Now, I actually think it's going to be more than an add-on. I think it's going to be a hybrid Windows platform that will just do everything. Now, we're looking at this as well, giving you just another instance of what it might look like on the actual, the games that could be running, and then you've got all the launchers underneath. This is all great and good, but the next generation Xbox console, if it does go down the route of being a hybrid, that's when things are going to change very, very drastically. Don't forget that by the end of the year, we are expecting to see Microsoft announce that any cloud game you buy, any game you buy digitally will be available on the cloud, the xCloud. Now, whether this will also be available in GeForce Now is going to be interesting, but it does open up potentials. And honestly, the moment that happens, any game out there skipping Xbox would be delusional, because at that point, that 500 million MAU that they have are potential customers for any game on Xbox. You don't even, at that point, the whole debate on, a publisher's looking at the Xbox console and saying, hey, look, they've only got 30 million, which is still a lot, by the way, consoles out there. Should we release it? That won't be an issue anymore, because it's basically how many Game Pass subscriptions do they have out there? And if that's 50 million, 60 million, 70 million, that's a lot of customers, right? So at that point, it becomes a little more interesting. Obviously, we'll wait and find out for that, but I think that's going to have a bearing on how these next generation consoles actually dictate. Now, whether the handheld is going to be a actual Series S type console and have its own dock, I'm hearing people talking about potential docks to make it more powerful. Is a little unclear. It doesn't make sense, but it's also possible. This is Microsoft, and Microsoft do like, their docks and, to add a bit more juice where they can. Or maybe it's simply going to dock into the console and allow you to charge it that way. I mean, the possibilities are endless when it comes to Microsoft and how they're actually going to go about this. But one thing is clear, that the next generation handheld that is coming from Xbox, which is real, confirmed by Phil Spencer himself when questioned at IGN, he said that he doesn't really want to talk about it right now. He's going to leave that for Sarah Bond, which pretty much confirms its existence and it's in development. We also know that the Surface team are working on it as well, and we have seen mock-ups of it in the past. But this is kind of big news when you're thinking about it, and the fact that Xbox is now pushing really hard for that next generation is really cool to see, because it shows that, they may more or less have basically, I guess, written this generation off, not in the sense of they've done bad, but more in the sense of trying to recover the deficit that they're behind Sony just isn't worth it, especially with the whole notion of where digital gaming is going to be, and if you can buy your digital games and you can play them on xCloud, and you know that opens up a whole new market in itself. But more that the next generation console will probably be running on an Nvidia graphics card as well, which is interesting in itself. Like I said, the partnership between Nvidia and Microsoft has grown exponentially. We're also hearing talks about the VR headset. They've ordered micro OLED screens from Samsung, hundreds and thousands of them, in fact. So that's interesting, and that would probably be for the next generation console as well. So a lot of this stuff is happening all while we're talking, all while we're just waiting for news on the next generation console. But whether it's going to be Steam powered or it's going to be Epic powered on the actual machine, if it is, at that point, that opens up a wealth of gaming opportunities for the consumer, and that is actually going to be really damn cool because, more games is always king, right? But whether the logistics will allow for that is another matter entirely. But something else that I came across, which I thought was really interesting, is this. Now, a lot of talk has been made about Microsoft just completely ignoring Asia and completely just pushing aside everything that is there. But Team Xbox is hiring senior strategic partner manager in Japan. She will be helping Japan-based publishers and developers release their games for the Xbox ecosystem. And you can see Minasato Kato here, the Director of Partnerships in Japan. We're hiring. I am looking for an experienced partner manager for my partnership team in Japan. Come work with us at Xbox. So it's clear that they haven't actually given up on Japan at all, and they are still trying to make that push. Now, whether it's actually going to succeed or not is another matter. But as you can see, as Team Xbox, we're on a mission to bring the joy and community of gaming to everyone on the planet. We deliver on that vision by putting players at the center, enabling you to play games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want. As a senior strategic partner manager for Japan Partnerships, you're responsible for leading a cross-organizational V team in managing complex partnerships with Japan-based global gaming partners. So it's cool that they've actually not given up on the East Asia. A lot of people thought that they did. Up to 100% work from home. So this is actually they've made this as easy as possible because this is actually a work from home position. So really, really cool stuff. But we also have this as well. Thailand makes games the world wants to play, and that Xbox is excited to connect with the Thai game dev community. Read about the first Xbox Discovery Day in Bangkok and how Xbox is helping Thai developers bring their games to the world, and that is to Xbox. And as you can see, they've just shown 4 pictures here. But again, it shows you that the next, though there's a lot of work to be done, this is all in preparation for the next Xbox to kind of fire on all cylinders. So whether there is going to be a Steam integration or an Epic Games integration, or maybe, as Jess says, this is going to be a console all on its own, the bottom line is everything is lining up for Microsoft to deliver their best console yet. And this excites me a lot because it's been a while since they've come out firing on all cylinders day one that will actually turn heads. And with the way things are going right now and the way games are starting to pour out and the lineup that they've got potentially already planned for 25, 26 and leading up to the next generation console and then the next generation console on top of that is actually quite striking. And just the names of Halo, Gears, Forza alone with Blade, and there's more, is a damn well sight that people should be excited about. And for all the talk about Xbox is not going to have another console and that it's not happening, how many times can Phil say that it's in the works, it's being built, it's happening? But what can you say? Dreamcast guy will be Dreamcast guy, right? He will always grift as long as he can. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. You can, it's really nice to see that the handheld push is there. I hope that the handheld, this is me personally, is not a parity requirement with the console. If it's too weak to run certain features, that's fine. as Jess says, if it is an add-on to the console, so you can actually take your game and play it elsewhere, I also suspect you're going to have access to the cloud, so you can play through xCloud, GeForce Now, and whatever you want to play, but it will also open up other avenues for you as well. I suspect it's going to be a hybrid, so that's going to be cool as well, so you can natively install your PC Game Pass games on there as well, and I suspect you'll probably be able to install your Xbox games on there as well. This is all great stuff, because if the handheld console itself can do backwards compatible as well, you can play your backwards compatible games on your handheld as well. Now, how cool will that be, running them at 120 FPS at 2K resolution on your handheld? You'll probably get 20 minutes of battery life, but it's still cool, right? So that's the video. I think this is going to be really exciting times. I think the run-in next year is going to be so important. The end of this year is massive. Next year is already shaping up to be extremely lucrative for Microsoft and Xbox. And Xbox customers, honestly, for all the doom and gloom that people are saying, this is probably the most excited that I've been since the 360 days. Everything is falling in line for Microsoft. Everything is aligning. All their hard work is starting to pay off. And if these job positions and openings and partnerships in the Far East can actually materialize, and those can bring games as well, Xbox is in a fantastic position to mobilize and push forward. And the next generation console, even the final remaining 2 years of this generation of the console, are going to be epic. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion. If you've enjoyed this content, do hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget you can support me further if you wish to through the membership. You can click on that join button and get content like this earlier. You can click on that super thanks, or simply support me through my Patreon. Either way, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.